Greenland has 56,000 people. It's larger than Mexico. There are no railroads, no highways connecting towns, and most settlements can only be reached by boat or helicopter. By nearly every measure of human activity, Greenland barely registers. Yet over the past century, it has drawn more territorial interest from major powers than islands with millions of inhabitants and thriving economies. The United States has tried to purchase it twice. Denmark, a country smaller than West Virginia, still controls it. And every few years, attention returns to this frozen, empty place as though something urgent is happening there. The obvious explanation involves resources. Greenland sits atop significant deposits of rare earth minerals, uranium, zinc, and possibly oil. As climate shifts and ice retreats, these deposits become more accessible. The assumption is that Greenland matters because of what lies beneath it. That this is a story about mining, extraction, and future wealth. That explanation isn't wrong, but it's incomplete, and it wasn't minerals that made the US stay. Greenland's true significance has less to do with what's under the ice and more to do with where the island sits. If you draw a straight line from New York to Moscow, that line passes directly over Greenland. The same is true for almost any flight path connecting the eastern United States to northern Europe or Central Asia. These are called Great Circle routes, the shortest distances across a curved Earth, and Greenland lies at the top of nearly all of them. During the Cold War, this mattered enormously. A Soviet missile launched toward the continental United States would travel over the Arctic. Greenland became the first point at which such a missile could be detected. In 1951, Denmark signed a defense agreement allowing the United States to build and operate Thule Air Base in northern Greenland. Thule became part of the Ballistic Missile Early Warning System, a network of radar stations designed to give the US roughly 15 minutes of notice before a nuclear strike. That base still operates today. It has never stopped being relevant. This is where the real constraint appears. Greenland doesn't just sit along the shortest routes between continents, it also sits at the entrance to the Arctic Ocean. For most of history, the Arctic was inaccessible, frozen year-round, impassable to commercial ships, irrelevant to global trade. That is no longer the case. Summer sea ice in the Arctic has declined by more than 40% since satellite measurements began. Shipping routes that were theoretical a generation ago are now being tested. A cargo ship traveling from Shanghai to Rotterdam through the Arctic can cut nearly 5,000 kilometers off the traditional Suez route. The Northern Sea route along Russia's coast already sees seasonal traffic. The Northwest Passage through Canada is opening, and any vessel traveling between the Atlantic and Pacific through the Arctic must pass within monitoring range of Greenland. Control over Greenland means visibility into everything moving through the top of the world. This is the part most people never consider. The resources beneath Greenland may take decades to extract. The shipping routes above it are opening now, and the military infrastructure required to monitor the Arctic already exists on Greenland's ice sheet. Whoever controls that infrastructure controls awareness of an entire ocean. The historical sequence matters here. In 1940, Germany occupied Denmark. Greenland, still a Danish colony, was suddenly undefended. The United States moved in, not to conquer, but to prevent Germany from using the island to stage weather stations and submarine resupply points. After the war ended, the US didn't leave. The 1951 defense agreement formalized what had already become permanent. Thule was built, radar systems were installed, and Greenland became, in strategic terms, an extension of North American defense. This created a lock-in. Once American military infrastructure existed on Greenland, removing it became unthinkable. The island's value wasn't speculative anymore. It was operational. Every upgrade to Arctic monitoring capability, every new satellite ground station, every modernization of early warning systems has reinforced the original decision. Greenland's importance compounds over time precisely because past investments make future investments more logical. Denmark, meanwhile, has maintained sovereignty while effectively outsourcing defense. Greenland gained home rule in 1979 and self-government in 2009, but foreign policy and security remain under Danish control, which means, in practice, coordinated with Washington. This arrangement satisfies multiple parties. Denmark retains a vast territorial claim. The United States retains strategic access, and Greenland's small population receives substantial subsidies from Copenhagen. The resources will eventually matter. Rare earth elements are genuinely difficult to source outside of China. Greenland's deposits could shift that balance. But extraction requires infrastructure that doesn't exist, investment that hasn't arrived, and environmental permissions that remain politically sensitive. The minerals are real, the timeline is not. What exists right now is geography. Greenland sits at the top of the Atlantic, at the gateway to the Arctic, along the flight paths that connect the world's major powers. It is one of the few places on Earth where location alone, independent of population, economy, or development, creates permanent strategic value. Most islands matter because of what humans have built on them. Greenland matters because of where the planet placed it. That cannot be changed, negotiated, or sold. It can only be occupied or watched. The frozen surface reveals almost nothing, but everything that moves above the Arctic passes within its shadow. That's why the emptiest island keeps attracting the most attention.